Go. All right, we will go ahead and get started. All right, so Raegan, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Really, really good. So as we talked about before, I'd like to highlight some of the students that I have who've gone through the Pathfinder program. And I told you before, I've been one of the best students that I've had in terms of following through on your assignments. And I think it would be a wonderful opportunity for you to share your story, where you were, where you are now. So maybe we'll start with this. Before we started with this process, like how are you feeling about yourself? And maybe you can start by talking about what year in school you are and your overall background.
Yeah, so this is my first semester of my junior year and my second semester at the school I transferred to. And just before we even started talking, had our first phone call, the only way I can really describe it is like hopeless, just kind of going through the motions. I didn't care about anything I was learning in school. It was all just like an everyday, just dragging routine. And I felt like I was just going to be stuck in this rut forever. And that I had kind of gotten myself into like this situation where it was too late to do anything about it, where I was just going to have to accept it and try and find a job that I might only care about just because it's a job. So that was kind of a tough spot to be in, especially being in your third year of college already. But that did eventually change after I watched your webinar. And my mom had us speak. So that's where I was before all this.
Got it. And so what did you think when we talked the first time on the phone, even before you started the program?
Well, that was the first time I'd really ever talked to anybody about any sort of guidance with your future. Like I've told you in high school, I really didn't even get that. It was just like my school did it. It was more just they wanted you to just get out application after application and not necessarily talk to you and try and tailor things to your own self and your own interests. So I just kind of thought what college is, maybe you just go somewhere that you might like and pick a major that you might like. And then when we spoke, I realized that so many kids feel the same way as I do, maybe got stuck at a school they didn't love or just didn't even really know what things they're actually good at. And I think that after we spoke on the phone, my whole outlook on college kind of changed because I realized that there's so much freedom in it and you're not just roped in to one single thing.
Totally, totally. Okay, so we had our first conversation, which I remember was a very good one. I got a good idea of where you were in terms of, as you said, like hopeless and not having clear direction. And then you started the process and we had weekly calls and talk about how that was for you, like your experience and what you learned about yourself.
Well, I definitely learned a ton about myself, especially even just like the questionnaires that we did the first like week, I think it was. And then just as we went through and as I did the Highlands Ability Battery, I just kind of learned why I learned the way that I do, which I think is a big thing I knew that was a huge thing for myself, but I think that for other students too, that could be a huge tool because I feel like a lot of people, especially college kids, may not understand why they don't pick up on a subject like that when a classmate can understand it, no problem. And I learned that it's okay to kind of be unsure and that you can end up choosing a new path or that it's okay to not love what you're doing.
Got it. Okay, and so that's where you were, and then I know that you were kind of undecided. And then after going through the process, you then got more clarity and talk about like your new path that we found after going through the process.
Yeah, so my old path was kind of a business administration. And I knew as soon as I started that I did not want to be a manager and I did not want to be stuck in the business world because some people love that, but I knew deep down that I was not going to be one of those people. And after I did the Highlands Ability Battery, it really highlighted for me that I actually am more of a creative person who needs kind of an outlet to express and maybe not just a by the book way to do things. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. So for you, you went from like undecided business, you went through the
Okay.
process, and you went to a new major. Yeah.
Yes. So then after we started doing some research and I went through the careers that are available through the battery, I realized that communications, it kind of takes the business side, but also adds in the creative side. So that's my new major. And from there, you can kind of go anywhere. You can add any concentrations. I can still concentrate in marketing, public relations, even media studies if I want to. And that way, I have this whole new field that I can go into and just, I feel like more opportunities just for myself and who I am.
Absolutely. So what did that do for your confidence going from unsure to now having a more solid major to choose from?
Oh yeah, it shot way up. I even noticed that like when people ask me what my major is, I want to talk about it more rather than before. I like to kind of skirt around the topic and not talk about school with anybody
Yeah.
because I just didn't really, I wasn't passionate about it. I was doing fine, but I felt more like a chore to me. And so my confidence is way up. And even just meeting with the advisors and the department, I can definitely see that this is going to be a better fit for me and that I'll be one of those students who can really shine in this field as opposed to being the person I've been where I've just been afraid to speak up and ask questions and be myself because I was afraid of messing up or something. And I'm happy to say that those feelings are kind of going away.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. So last question I want to ask you is, so we talked about communications. What a lot of students struggle with is how do I take my major and focus it specifically on an internship or a job? So talk more about our conversations and what you may have learned going through some of the job preparation and internship preparation stuff we've done.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of college kids, I feel like most of us have worked, but it's usually in a part-time position where an interview isn't really a whole lot of pressure. It's kind of a more casual thing. They just want to make sure that you'll show up and do the job.
Mm-hmm.
So after I changed my major and I was having more conversations, it came time for me to try and start applying for internships. And through this process, I realized that you should just apply to as much as you can. And I was also encouraged to join LinkedIn and Way Up and other online stuff like that to just build a whole tree of connections, so all over. And that's been really useful. And I also feel like we did mock interviews and stuff, and it really helped me understand what to be prepared for because before I was stumbling over my words, I was getting nervous, and I didn't really know how to answer the questions in a way that would market myself.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, through this whole process, I've learned that you should apply for internships that align with the things that you're good at. So look at their descriptions, look at what you'd be doing day to day, where it's located, but that you should also just try and like be passionate about it at the same time and not settle.
Totally, totally. And I've seen a dramatic shift in you from starting the process in terms of being confused and now having real confidence in how you're communicating to other people, even communicating what your current major is right now. So you've done a really good job.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a joy. Thank you for this.
Yes,
And
thank you so much for everything.
absolutely. All right. Talk soon.
Okay.
All right.